So that's why we are here this morning. Before I proceed, I want to acknowledge some special guests in our midst this morning. First of all, let me welcome from the Ministry of Communication, Mr. Desmond Watson. Could you kindly give a hand so everyone knows you? Thank you very much. We also have from the United Nations coordinator, the United Nations, we have Miss Christine Evans-Clark. She's the resident coordinator. Thank you. Miss Erica Godson, Deputy Country Representative, UNFPA. I'm sure she's on her way, she's not here yet. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We also have from World Bank, Miss Christian Darty, the Social Protection Specialist. Thank you. Then many people to do the business for us. This morning, we have the panel of judges. They will be in charge of whatever we are going to do here this morning. First, we have Dr. Mami J.T. Jando. She is the Senior Lecturer at the Department of Political Science, University of Ghana. Thank you very much. Then we have Mr. Francis Anka, Head of Social Policy Center in Ghana. Then Mr. Edmund Ankoma, who is also a lecturer of the Lectures on Humanities and Social Science at Chelsea University. Then finally we have Mr. Samuel Apia Marco, who is an Assistant Professor, School of Business and Leadership, Regent University. Apologies, Doctor. Then also helping us today will be Patrick Nukapo, who is going to be the timekeeper. Thank you very much. The spotlight is going to be thrown on this gentleman and this, ladies who will be doing the honors this morning. We are going to have the debate between the members and the delegates. So I want to invite on stage Michael Koko Jr., who is a member of the YDG. Ophelia Asante. Charlotte Obe. On the other side, we will have Ifiase Wampum. We have Joanna Poma Chamel. Emmanuel Amuadakwa. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think it would also be important to acknowledge some special people we have in the building here. We have a rep from UNDP Ghana. We have European Union delegation. Could you kindly, wave everyone those? We have the Oxford Business Group. All right, Scottish Development International. Thank you very much. We have a rep from UNICEF. Thank you. Embassy of Mexico. Ministry for Gender. And joining us also will be the team from Miss Universe Ghana 2017. We have the contestants, the finalists, and the whole team. Thank you very much. At this point, I want to welcome Mr. Gabriante from the YDG to give us a welcome address.
Again, United Nations Resident Coordinator, Country Representative of UNFPA, members of the Diplomatic Corps, panel of judges, media representatives here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Deeply honored to welcome you all to this debate program to mark the 2017 International Youth Day in Ghana. Let me also extend my sincere appreciation to you for responding to our invitation and taking the time to join us this morning. I also want to acknowledge and extend our gratitude to the UNDP and the UNFPA for supporting our work and programs in diverse ways. To the World Bank for making this program a reality, International Youth Authority for the support for this program. We began the Young Diplomats of Ghana journey last year as a unique capacity building alternative to raise and build a new generation of leaders in diplomacy and policy advocacy, and also work as ambassadors of the Sustainable Development Goals in Ghana. After an application and selection process, 10 young people were selected as delegates and another 10 as members to begin the Young Diplomats of Ghana experience. Over the past months, we have engaged them in a series of training and capacity building initiatives to get them involved in development agenda of the country and also prepare them for various leadership roles and also for their career and personal development. Based on the consistent call and knock on our doors, many young people want to be part of this whole program. And so we were able to come up with the Young Diplomats of Ghana Forum, organized quarterly, where we open up to non-YDG delegates and members for this unique experience we offer. The Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the world leaders in September 2015 form an integral part of the Young Diplomats of Ghana experience. As a member of the UN Sustainable Development Network's solutions, our advocacy initiatives on the SDGs create a platform for young people to connect, think about solving problems, and also network to have a stronger voice for the development of our country and the attainment of the goals in Ghana. Today's debate program is one of our practical competitive training initiatives to help our delegates and members develop their skills in critical thinking, researching, negotiating, persuasive argumentation, and also engage in factual and intellectual discourses on competing interests and ideas. Of course, our future parliamentarians, representatives of various committees and international organizations, future members and representatives on corporate and civil society bodies are among these. They will also be better well composed to organize such debates and also be able to pitch ideas, withstanding and surviving competitive ideas and interests, and weighing the pros and cons in arriving at critical decisions which would affect the lives of many people in Ghana. More importantly, as we mark the biggest celebration of young people worldwide, the International Youth Day, this debate offers an unprecedented platform for young people to speak to the government, civil society, developmental and international organizations, the media, and the entire populace on the true and current state of their capacity and preparedness to effectively influence and make an impact on the country as young people. It is our hope that this program would spark the agenda and drive to harness the country's demographic dividend of strategic investments in the young Ghanaian. As a major human resource and personnel to be making and taking decisions on behalf of the country in the next years ahead, this is certainly the way to go. Let's once again thank you all for joining us for this program, and I hope you enjoy the exchange of ideas from our debaters. On behalf of our mother organization, the International Perspective for Policy and Governance, we wish you all the very best, and we wish you a happy International Youth Day. Thank you all, and welcome for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Program Director. I think I will call on Mr. Desmond Boateng to give us the opening remarks on behalf of government. Thank you.
I'm representing my Deputy Minister, Honorable George Anda, and I would like to apologize for his inability to join you here this morning. And so on that note, I will proceed to read his address. The UN Resident Coordinator, UNFPA Country Rep, members of the Diplomatic Corps, eminent panel of judges and distinguished debaters, friends from the media, fellow youth, distinguished guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to be here this morning to deliver the keynote address at this year's International Youth Day celebration in Ghana. I wish to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to be part of this event and to be an inspiration to the youth as they develop and equip themselves to participate in the governance and decision-making process in our country. The International Youth Day is a United Nations initiative which is celebrated on the 12th of August each year. The day is set aside to recognize efforts of the world's youth in enhancing a global and a just society, and also promote ways of engaging youth and people to be actively involved in making positive contributions and constructive criticisms to promote nation building. The celebration of the International Youth Day is significant because it affords us the opportunity to address concerns of our young people, share ideas, and also develop initiatives aimed at getting them involved in our governance and decision-making process. You would all agree with me that the youth are the most valuable assets of every nation, and as a major human resource base, they can be nurtured as agents of change. Their inclusion in the economic, social, and political development of our nation is therefore very critical. When we have peace, it engenders personal development, societal growth, enhanced living standards, and cultural harmony. These pillars are what will sustain our governance and growth as a people. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Ghana has a youthful population which inures to our advantage for national development. Every year, our educational system produces young graduates with innovative ideas and entrepreneurial skills that, when positively nurtured, will help develop our nation. It is in view of this that the theme chosen for this year's celebration, Youth Building Peace, is timely because there is a direct correlation between peace building and national development. The youth would efficiently play their roles as agents of change when they are well equipped and are fully involved and engaged in different ways at all levels and stages of the governance and decision-making agenda of the country, which makes today's debate to mark the International Youth Day in Ghana very much needed and crucial. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me take the opportunity to encourage the youth to make use of the telecommunication platform for social media interaction. As youth, we should contribute positively on social media platform on developmental issues which promotes national cohesion. Please do not engage in using these platforms for negative social vices which will disturb our peace. Again, going digital as a nation is also an opportunity for the youth to go into content development, which is the new currency for television production. I must say that next year, 2018, by the first quarter, Ghana will be migrating from analog television to digital television, and we will need content. Content will play a very key role, and so we would like to encourage our youth to take interest or to have interest in the development of content. I urge you to be pragmatic and realistic in your expectations. Do not allow yourselves to be manipulated by influential people to use your energies in negative pursuits that will destabilize society, cause mayhem, and retard progress. In fact, when there's mayhem, yourself and your relatives will be affected. I would at this point like to commend the Youth Diplomats of Ghana for commemorating this day with a debate on the motion, is the Ghanaian youth well equipped to effectively participate in the governance and decision-making process in the country? I believe that this debate would not only be refreshing, but also help us build a new generation of critical thinkers and leaders who share their ideas through insightful and persuasive arguments on the preparedness of the youth to efficiently and effectively contribute to the governance process in the country. It is also a wake-up call on all of us, the government, civil society, religious leaders, the media, and the development agencies to come together and join efforts to solidify the place of the youth in the development agenda of the country. The future belongs to the youth, and this is the time to chart the course that will make you responsible adults and to reap the benefits of the power in you yield as a major human resource for development and key agents for social change and economic growth. Without peace, there will not be no development, and as such, we will not be having this debate today. On this note, I wish you a fruitful engagement and may the best idea win the debate. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boateng. At this point, I want to invite the special guest, Ms. Kristen Evans-Clark from the United Nations Residence Coordinating, to give her remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very grateful to the Young Diplomats of Ghana for organizing this event on International Youth Day, and to all of the young people who are debating, and to the distinguished set of judges. I'd also like to thank colleagues from the UN and the World Bank for being here, diplomatic corps representatives, and also the Ministry of Communication. So I'm looking forward to this debate on how youth can help build peace in Ghana, to hearing your views on the strengths and the weaknesses of how youth can foster peace and good governance in Ghana and engage in political processes. And I'm glad to have this opportunity to acknowledge the purpose of International Youth Day and to share some thoughts with you about how the relevance of this theme for Ghana. In 1985, the UN celebrated the first International Youth Day, and then on its 10th anniversary in 1995, the General Assembly adopted the World Program of Action for Youth, which is a very broad policy framework and guidelines for national action and international support to improve the situation of young people. I'm not going to list all the 15 priority areas of that action plan, just to acknowledge that in addition to some of the things you might expect in terms of education and employment, health and gender equality, it also stressed the importance of youth in security and in peace and in building communication between countries and across generations. I think at the heart of this UN focus on youth is the growing recognition that as agents of change, young people's inclusion in the peace and security agenda, and security more broadly, is key to building and sustaining peace. Thus, International Youth Day 2017 has been dedicated to celebrating young people's contributions to building peace and to conflict prevention, and to addressing some of the underlying concerns that lead to tension and conflict in terms of inclusiveness and social justice. This focus on peace and security is also at the heart of the Sustainable Development Agenda 2030. 2015 marked the historic agendas for Africa and for the global community in adopting agendas that were transformative for the economy and for peace, and with a very specific commitment to leaving no one behind. The Sustainable Development Agenda 2030, like the AU Agenda 2063, is a people's agenda. It wasn't written behind closed doors by a group of UN diplomats or a group of academic experts. It really started at the grassroots by asking people, especially young people, to envision the future that they wanted. It's the result of years of grassroots consultations. And it started in Ghana with a survey that asked young people about their priorities. And most of the people who answered these surveys, 70%, were people under the age of 30. In Ghana, what this resulted in was a strong priority on reducing inequality and about having more good jobs for young people. All of the consultation globally resulted in the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. It's a political commitment, and it's a roadmap to ending extreme poverty everywhere, to reducing inequalities between and within countries, and to leaving no one behind. It's easy to remember what this global agenda stands for if you remember the 5 Ps. To promote prosperity and reduce poverty, to protect the planet, and to ensure peace for all. It's one unified agenda for social, economic, and environmental development. It's owned nationally, with each government responsible for figuring out how to achieve those agendas. But it is so ambitious that it really does require collective support. And that's the 5th P for partnership. Partnership between government and civil society, for across governments, from development partners, and from you. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, translate these core values and the ambition into concrete and measurable results: to end extreme poverty in all its forms, to decrease inequality and improve gender equality, to boost economic growth and jobs, to improve infrastructure in cities, to transform agriculture and end hunger, to speed up industrialization but slow down climate change and respond to its effects, to make sure everyone has access to adequate health and education services, and finally, to promote peace and to secure access to justice for all. And so because this is your topic this morning, I want to talk about what this last goal means. The agenda commits member states to foster peaceful and inclusive societies and affirm that sustainable development cannot be realized without peace and security. So in particular, Sustainable Development Goal 16 aims to ensure responsive, inclusive, participatory, representative decision-making at all levels. And you should find yourselves in that list. The agenda puts the rule of law, access to justice, effective government institutions, and stopping corruption as central principle. As Ghana's own former Secretary General Kofi Annan has written recently, there is no pathway, no policy formula to sustainable development that does not start with peace and with ensuring access to justice for all. And I think that we could remind ourselves that Ghana's continued success in managing electoral processes in a transparent, peaceful, and credible manner, as it did in the elections last year, and the peaceful handover between government political parties early this year, has enhanced Ghana's reputation as a beacon for democracy and for rule of law in the region. But it also raises expectations. Expectations for the recognition and the protection of human rights for all Ghanaians and for continued inclusive, sustainable growth. I think one of the things we can ask ourselves in this agenda is, who is at risk in Ghana? Who is at risk of being left behind, of being left out, or of not having their human rights recognized and protected? Our respect for cultural, religious, and traditional beliefs cannot be used to deny the basic human rights for any individual. And I think this is a critical foundation for leaving no one behind and for having peaceful societies. One of the exemplary steps that I think Ghana has taken towards achieving the Sustainable Development Agenda is indeed the mobilization of civil society and their role in ensuring that no one is left behind. Over 200 civil society organizations in Ghana took the initiative to organize themselves to support the implementation of the SDGs in Ghana. They're raising awareness of what the SDGs should mean to all Ghanaians, and are promoting community engagement, ownership, action, and accountability of government. They include associations, networks, religious networks, international and NGOs of national, and they are represented in all 216 districts across the country. And I hope that many young people are finding opportunities to work within this platform to support the SDGs. The UN agencies working together in Ghana are committed to helping implement the SDGs in Ghana, starting with peace and with human rights. We undertook an analysis last year to try to understand what might be some of the barriers or some of the underlying challenges for implementing the Sustainable Development Goals in Ghana. And our findings stress the importance of supporting policy and program implementation, not just having them on paper, but implementing them. On promoting domestic investment in development, because as a middle-income country, Ghana is no longer as eligible for official development aid. And the importance of addressing 4 interrelated root causes or root challenges of development, of underdevelopment. The first is persisting inequalities in terms of income and access to quality health and education services across regions and between rural and urban areas. The second underlying challenge was the low productivity in Ghana, which is evidenced in dependence on exporting raw materials and raw crops, not yet conducive to higher value added with better jobs. The third was sustaining the persistence, rather, of environmental degradation and poor sanitation, which threatens public health and undermines the future sustainable growth in forestry, in mining, in fisheries. And finally, and perhaps most interesting for you today, was, as the representative of the Ministry of Communication mentioned, the demographic dividend, which means a bulging population of people in the ages of 20 to 40, which can be such an asset for a country in terms of boosting economic growth. However, when regional disparities or poor education attainment result in this group being attracted to external migration, or it results in rapid informal urban growth, and it results in burgeoning demand for decent work by young people. Unless we meet those expectations, then the demographic dividend can lead to conflict rather than prosperity. So this leads me back to, I think, your topic of our debaters this morning, in terms of what are the threats to peace in Ghana, what are the barriers to young people being constructively engaged in governance. And I once heard Ministry of Defense here say, in response to an analysis of security threats in the region, that in his view, the biggest threat to peace was youth unemployment, was these unmet expectations for decent and productive work. So I think one challenge is, how do young people stay engaged in the economy and promote the economic growth of their country? Another challenge was between being political engagement versus political vigilantism. How do youth value the institutions of democracy, treasure them, strengthen them, and participate in them? Or are young people susceptible to being manipulated by those who would turn them towards political violence and even extremism? What are the unmet expectations that might make young people susceptible to this, or make them think that informal migration and taking on the hazards of crossing the desert and across the Mediterranean to try to get better jobs somewhere else, when we want to have good, decent jobs at home and all of the creativity of young people to make sure that Ghana succeeds? And another threat, I think, is the exclusion of any group. When we exclude people, this is a threat to peace and to harmony. Young people may be less set in your ways, principled, with strong convictions, but perhaps more open to meeting people with different views and different ways of life, and figuring out how this can be a strength for a country, this diversity, and how to have social harmony. So we need to be thoughtful about who feels like they are the other in Ghana? Who feels ostracized? Who feels discriminated against on the basis of their ethnic group, their religious beliefs, or their sexual orientation? Diversity is a strength for peace, but it requires institutions to help us all respect each other. And then finally, climate change. This has got to be one essential issue for youth because it's your future. This can be a source of conflict, with more people competing for scarce natural resources, with more frequent extreme weather episodes. There is increasing competition, for example, perhaps between farmers and nomadic pastoralists across West Africa, competing for fewer agricultural resources due to climate change pushing them closer together. These are just some of the things that I think can result in conflict and that could be the focus of how youth participate in good governance, to make sure that differences do not become conflict, to strengthen the institutions you have for resolving conflict and for building respect and human rights. So I really would like to thank all of the participants this morning and all of you for your commitment to be part of peace and good governance in Ghana. And I look forward to hearing your ideas about how you'll be doing that better. I hope you will find that the UN is a good partner to you. Thank you very much.
We'll have Miss Christabel Dazi give her remarks now instead of Miss Erica, because she would have to go somewhere now.
Good morning. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. As you know, in Africa, half of the population is under 25 years, and each year between 2015 and 2035, it is projected to add 500,000 more 15-year-olds than the year before. As such, projections indicate a youth bulge by 2034, which presents both challenges and economic growth opportunities, as the UN representative indicated to us. Specific to Ghana, young people aged 15 through 35 represent about 36% of the total population, with the Ashanti region having the largest share of youth population, about 6.8%, followed by Greater Accra, 6.2%. Further, the youth population is expected to peak in the next 10 to 15 years. These statistics demonstrate the major role that youth play today and in the coming years. However, the Ghanaian youth continues to face multiple challenges, including unemployment, or frequently work in temporary low-wage, low-productivity jobs. Further, our education system is limited in its ability to produce graduates who are versatile and have the ability to face this new dynamic world. With limited access to pre-employment support, mentoring and coaching, which are crucial to being informed and engaged citizens. The government of Ghana, as been indicated by the Ministry of Communications, has demonstrated its commitment to youth development through the development of the National Youth Policy in 2010, which acknowledges that youth are a major source of human capital and key agents for social, cultural, economic, and political development, as well as technological innovation worldwide. As such, the development and empowerment of the youth is imperative for the attainment of national development goals. It is therefore important to take account of the youth in our national development efforts by providing opportunities for learning and acquiring lifelong skills, affording them an appreciation of decision-making processes and how these decisions affect them. To me, this directly speaks to what we're doing here today. Our current president and other ministers have recently been stated on the importance of youth development, as youth unemployment, for instance, has been indicated as a national security risk, in line with this year's theme of peace building and SDG 16. Therefore, there definitely exists a general disconnect between citizens and governments, which with most seeing democracy as the vote, which is only a first step to good governance. For instance, it is not uncommon to see citizens demanding development projects from their parliamentarians instead of focusing on following up on policies and laws, which is their mainstay. Parliament, for example, still remains heavily male-dominated, which is another key issue that needs to be addressed. There is a critical role for the government and international community to play in pursuing youth development. However, the youth also has a role to play in one, demanding what is their worth, but also in two, also being responsible citizens by playing their role every day, be it in advocacy, citizen engagement, and even what we see as simple things such as keeping our environments clean or time management. Understanding governance, research, and policy is therefore a critical step towards national development, and that's why we commend the Young Diplomats organization for its efforts in ensuring that the youth are well equipped to understand governance beyond politics and remain engaged in national development issues. We encourage the young diplomats to speak truth to power, engage and probe the national, regional, and local policies that form the basis for decision-making, and most importantly, follow up on recommendations to ensure they are effected as promised. Remember that being an engaged citizen goes way beyond voting. The World Bank reaffirms its commitment to continue to work with the government of Ghana to tackle economic development, fostering our twin goals of ending extreme poverty and promoting shared prosperity, particularly as it relates to youth development, given the crucial role that the youth of Ghana play. With that, I wish you a fruitful debate. Happy International Youth Day.
Thank you very much. We'll call up here Mr. Bawa Amadou from the MNFPA to give a speech here.
The representative of the Ministry of Communications, the UN resident coordinator, I would like to acknowledge the presence of all here and the youth in particular. Once again, we are here to commemorate the day. And as I speak, the deputy from UNFPA is not here because she is with the other group spearheaded by NYA that is also commemorating the day. I see the topic is the Ghanaian youth well equipped to effectively participate in the governance and decision-making processes in the country. Very relevant to the major theme of youth building. And I acknowledge what the resident coordinator has said. I was wondering, can I say something that is additional to what she has said? But she has given us a splendid overview at the macro level, what the theme and what we should expect from it. I would just concentrate on the micro and speak to the young people about what they can be doing in terms of the theme. So being equipped and participating in governance is strongly linked to youth peace building. When young people free their energies from conflict, they retain such energies and channel them into productive uses. Energy is not wasted in fighting colleagues from the other side because they are not your group. Such energy must be channeled into so many opportunities that the youth have, including in governance and decision making, which is the theme for the debate. Our executive director of UNFPA has said the following: young people have the potential to act as greater forces for positive social change and to build a foundation for a just and peaceful world, so that if we want a peaceful world, we can no longer afford to leave young people behind. We must listen to and work with them. We must bring them to the negotiation table because peace, to a very large extent, depends on the participation of young people. Young Diplomats of Ghana and all young people here, I trust you will bring out the issues which I strongly believe will be taken on board by decision makers. I urge all the youth here to listen attentively as they would acquire some new knowledge and see the power of deploying rational, seasoned arguments and compelling evidence in action by their colleague debaters. this will benefit you immensely as you learn far beyond what you already know. For us in UNFPA, as part of our mission, we are committed to ensuring that every young person's potential is fulfilled. This is the most singular reason we are at the forefront of youth issues worldwide and in Ghana. We are currently advocating governments in Africa to invest in youth through the demographic dividend, which the representative from the Ministry of Communication and the resident coordinator have already pointed out. You are and will be part of the consultations as it concerns you. At about 30%, the current generation of youth are the largest in the history of Ghana. They cannot be ignored. But let me quickly add that even if they were 7% of the population, they must not be ignored. It is just that if a group is 30% and you are not looking to provide their interests, their needs, and facilitating the fulfillment of their potentials, then what are we doing? It has been documented that young people often comprise majority in countries marked by armed conflict and unrest. Therefore, considering the needs and aspirations of youth in matters of peace and security is a development imperative. We need to engage young people at any given opportunity so as to ensure that we have the future we want, since they are the future. As we celebrate this day, we urge government to work on the African Union roadmap for harnessing the demographic dividend, as mentioned, for Ghana. UNFPA is glad to be part of the wonderful idea of engaging young people on issues that interest them. I wish the debaters the very best, trusting that all the issues related to engaging young people in decision-making processes would clearly come out to enable stakeholders appreciate. UNFPA remains committed to supporting efforts of Ghana government and civil society to develop our greatest asset, young people, who can help us move to our shared vision of a free world, a world free of conflict and violence. Thank you very much for your attention.
At this point, we want one of the judges to talk to us about the rules of engagement for this debate.
Thank you very much. My name again is Dr. Mami Jachi Jando of the University of Ghana's Political Science Department. And,
I'm Dr. Samuel Apia Mafo from Regent University.
I am Edmond Ankoma, lecturer at Shesi University.
Okay, so we are pleased and privileged to be here today to judge this interesting debate. Now, the motion for the debate is, and I quote, "Is the Ghanaian youth well equipped to effectively participate in the governance and decision-making processes of the country?" So here are the rules and guidelines. First, there are two teams for this debate: the Young Diplomats of Ghana members and the Young Diplomats of Ghana delegates. So the YDG members and YDG delegates. Each team consists of 3 speakers, a principal speaker and 2 supporting speakers. YDG members are speaking in the affirmative, answering yes to the motion, and the YDG delegates are speaking against the motion, answering no. 2, the principal speakers for both teams are to make a case for or against the motion for the debate, providing proof with 2 or 3 or as many points as can be given, and clarified within the 10 minutes allotted for each principal speaker. Then 3, the first supporting speakers for both teams have the right of rebuttal to play down or refute the arguments and points raised by the principal speaker of the opposing team, and they are also to further rebuild, defend, and extend upon their team's major argument within 6 minutes, should I say only 6 minutes. 4, the second supporting speakers also wield the right of rebuttal to refute claims made by the principal and first supporting speakers of the opposing team, and should further build on their team's major arguments. But most importantly, the second supporting speakers should bring their team's argument to a close. This must also be done within 6 minutes. 5, speakers can be questioned by a member of the panel of judges after their submission and would have 90 seconds to produce an answer without consulting their teammates. Only one question can be asked by the panel per speaker. However, the panel this morning has decided to wait and ask questions after both teams have made their submission, in order that we don't have too many disruptions. So we will wait and ask questions after the submissions of both teams. 6, he who asserts, or should I say he or she who asserts, we have more women even than men. He or she who asserts must prove. In order to establish an assertion, the team or the speaker must support this assertion with enough evidence and logic to back the assertion. 7, the timekeeper will ring a bell anytime a speaker exhausts his or her allotted time. Once the bell rings, a speaker would have an extra time of 20 seconds to end his or her argument. Exceeding the 20 seconds means the speaker would earn no mark for sense of timing and would further lose 3 points from the team's accumulated score by each judge. 8, if the bell rings while answering a question asked by a member of the panel of judges, a speaker has an extra time of 5 seconds to end his or her answer. Again, exceeding the 5 seconds means the speaker would earn no mark for sense of timing and would also lose 3 points from the team's accumulated score by each judge. There will be no point of information in this debate. Therefore, no team has the right to distract an opponent on the floor. However, each team will have a 5-minute summary and final rebuttal round, for which a team can decide to question the opponent on an issue raised in their argument, or use it exclusively to reiterate rebuttals, affirm and summarize their argument. Note, no new argument can be raised in this round. There will be no extra time. Thus, once the bell rings, the speaker should end his or her submission. Failure to end a submission when the bell rings for exhausting the 5 minutes given time for the summary and final rebuttal round would attract a deduction of 5 points from a team's accumulated score by each judge. And finally, for the avoidance of doubt, the principal speakers for both teams have 10 minutes each for their submission and arguments, and all supporting speakers have 6 minutes each for their submissions. I wish you good luck. And there's a comment from...
Okay, so just to be clear, after your submissions and we ask the question, you still have the 90 seconds to respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
First is Principal Speaker for the motion, Michael Oko Jr.
As the Ghanaian youth, well equipped to effectively participate in the governance and decision-making processes of this country. Mr. Chairman, honorable judges, All protocols observed. As we look forward to celebrating the International Youth Day tomorrow, I believe it is only appropriate that we continue our advocacy and deepen youth participation in the affairs of our society, especially governance. Resolved, the Ghanaian youth is well equipped to participate effectively in the decision-making processes of this country. The onus of proof lies on myself and colleagues to prove beyond every reasonable doubt that the Ghanaian youth is indeed well equipped to participate effectively in the decision-making processes of this country. But before we appreciate this exercise, I'd like us to look at some few definitions. The word youth, as defined by the Ghana National Youth Policy 2010, is the population of Ghanaians between the ages of 15 and 35 years. Effective means causing a result, especially the desired or intended outcome from the Microsoft Encounter Dictionary. Now, governance, which refers to the manner of steering or governing or of directing and controlling a group of people or a state. It is essentially related to politics. Mr. Chairman, but politics is only a vehicle in governance. Politics can be likened to government, but governance is broader than a political government. So may we not today and this morning limit ourselves when we talk of governance to mean politics, but recognize the fact that you and I are playing a role in governance today. The foundation of every state is the education of its youth, Diogenes Laertius asserted. Let me walk you through our educational history as Ghanaians. In the 1950s, about the 4.2 million people of Ghanaians, the population of Ghanaians that were literate was only 6.6%. Mr. Chairman, today, the youth literacy rate, it's 91.8%. A complete turn of events. Mr. Chairman, this is a generation of young people hungry for education. And if education is the foundation of every state, then I can humbly say that today the Ghanaian youth is well equipped to be involved in the decision-making processes of this country. From 4 public universities about 4 decades ago to about 197 accredited tertiary institutions today, Mr. Chairman, yet over thousands of qualified young Ghanaians are denied entrance into our tertiary education system just because we lack infrastructure. Mr. Chairman, many more qualified young Ghanaians are seeking education, and I mean qualified and more tertiary educations outside or across the borders of this country. What then can you and I call our generation of young people today? We are an educated generation. We are not just educated, but we are using that knowledge acquired to transform our communities and impact our younger ones. Through education, Mr. Chairman, we are shaping ideas through advocacy, as evident in the activities of organizations led by young people, examples like the Young Diplomats of Ghana, of which I believe my co-debaters are even a part of. Mr. Chairman, the youth advocacy of Ghana, led by a 33-year-old man, Emmanuel Ametepe, who is grooming young minds to be able to fight the inequalities that exist in our society. These are all actions of young people in our society. The exposure education has given us makes us aware of the need and our role to play to contribute meaningfully to the development of our nation. Through education, today, we refocus the direction of national issues as we cause national debates and draw the attention of our leaders when we hold them on discussions led by many of our able young men, like Umaru Sanda, like Bernard Avle, like Richard Delatsky, like the man, Mr. Ibrahim, and the security. Mr. Chairman, knowledge is power. Information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family. This was said by our own son, the former General Secretary of the United Nations, Kofi Annan. We have been given the power of transformation through education. Men make history and not the other way around. In periods where there is no leadership, society stands still. Progress occurs only when courageous, skillful leaders seize the opportunity to change things for the better. President Harry S. Truman once said, "We are not only educated as young people, we are leaders in our society. In every sector of our economy, you would find us making exploits, charting new frontiers and leading the way. We are at the forefront of global change and innovation. Our leadership abilities stem right from student politics to global leadership. We are not just the future leaders as we are widely made to believe. We are the leaders of today, effecting the change we need tomorrow. We are already leading. We are leaders, Mr. Chairman." In 2008, a visionary young man began a business with one branch. Today, he has over 60 branches across the nation. This was because of his vision. And I am talking of the man and the CEO of Page Group, Mr. Mike Nyinaku. This is one of the many young Ghanaians that we have that are championing the cause of our development in our society today. Mr. Chairman, can someone name me a sector in our economy today that you cannot find a young man making exploit? Is it education? Sonkro Academy is over there. Regina Honu. Is it business? We have Tony Senaya, the producer of Horseman Shoes, fondly known as the president's shoemaker. Mr. Chairman, we cannot deceive ourselves today by continuing to believe that the Ghanaian youth is not well equipped to contribute effectively to the governance and decision-making processes in our country, especially not in this 21st century. What else is required of us that we do not possess as youth? Is it experience? We have got it. Education? We are highly educated. Leadership? We have demonstrated. Tenacity? It's a core part of us. Exposure and awareness? I don't think there is a group of people in our society more exposed than the Ghanaian youth today. Mr. Chairman, as youth, we continue to hone our leadership skills through leadership development programs like the Young African Leaders Initiative by President Obama and Nelson Mandela. These and many other leadership programs every year the young people participate in. Mr. Chairman, 60 years after independence, 60 years on, it took the innovativeness and creativity of 3 young Ghanaian students to put Ghana, our beloved country, the first in sub-Saharan Africa, into space. Today, we join the rest of the world in the space race, sending a satellite into orbit, and we can comfortably play our independent songs from space. Mr. Chairman, this has only been because of the innovativeness of young Ghanaians. There are still countless of us today using our cognitive power to innovate and create systems for the development and progress of our country. Mr. Chairman, with such a resourceful Ghanaian youth today, going at all lengths to put our country on the global stage, where lies the doubt of our ability to effectively participate in the governance and decision-making processes of our country? For progress and development to come upon us entirely, we would no longer need political qualifications as much today. The liberation struggle is the one which needed it so badly, for it was a political revolution. But today, we desperately need an economic and industrial revolution. And this is what the Ghanaian youth today is bringing to the fore with all our qualities. Mr. Chairman, a global leading IT firm once placed an advert in the newspapers seeking to hire the expertise of an individual in quantum analysis and quantitative programming to fill in the position of the deputy programs manager. Several requirements, including 5 years of work experience in the related field, was required. A minimum of a master's degree in computer engineering, a critical and analytical thinker, a self-motivated personality, and an age limit not less than 30 years were all needed. A young man of 28 years meeting all the requirements except the age limit. Now, would you, as the employer, turn this young man away because he did not meet the age limit? I believe our older generations with lots of wisdom knows best what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oko. So it's now time to invite Mami Sewa Ampong for, who's on the other side against the motion.
Thank you. The former UN Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, in the year 2012 stated that in order to unleash the potential of young people, we need to partner with them. Can anyone in this room honestly say that the Ghanaian youth is being partnered in order to unleash their potential? Ghana is not quite there yet. The moderator, panel of adjudicators, precise timekeeper, delegates, members, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ikuya Sewa Ampong, and I am the principal speaker, holding up the cudgel against the motion on board. Quote, is the Ghanaian youth well equipped to effectively participate in governance and decision-making process of the country? It is vital and absolutely quintessential to define pivotal words in the motion. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, in its 1997 policy paper, defined governance as the exercise of economic, political, and administrative authority to manage a country's affairs at all levels. According to Ghana's National Youth Authority, youth is anyone between the age bracket of 15 and 35. Does anyone here honestly believe someone between the age of 15 and 35 is qualified to run this country, to hold positions, including, but not limited to being a president? I do not think so. I'll give you 5 reasons for my assertion, firmly rooted in facts and figures. 1, the lack of the spirit of voluntarism, selflessness, and patriotism in the Ghanaian youth. 2, cultural indoctrination, that it's our elders that take decisions and not the youth. 3, appointment of party loyalists and financiers to decision-making positions in the country, leaving the youth inexperienced in governance and decision-making. 4, inability of our school curriculum to teach soft skills such as critical thinking and management, in addition to impacting technical know-how. 5, the lack of a coordinated and a vibrant national youth program and/or policy to equip young people to adequately contribute to governance. The above enumerated reasons will be expatiated seriatim. 1, the lack of the spirit of voluntarism, selflessness, and patriotism in the Ghanaian youth. Primarily, governance is service. Service to God, service to mankind, and service to our dear nation. Service, it's often said, is the rent we pay for our room here on earth. But in our present day and age, the Ghanaian youth do not have the spirit of service to serve our nation selflessly. It's all about get rich quick. And as the American rapper 50 Cent would say, get rich or die trying. Everything is about money, money, money. Even if it means involving themselves in illegal small-scale mining, including galamsey to pollute our environment, looting government money to buy four-wheel drives and dashing extras to their girlfriends, engaging in cybercrime, also known as Sakawa, or boldly proclaiming that they will not leave politics until they make $1 million. You ask a young man to perform any duty, and the first response, directly or indirectly, is how much money they'll be earning. And you still think we are well equipped for governance and decision making? My answer is a resounding no. The American youth actually deem it an honor to be part of a Peace Corps to serve humanity for a year or over. And that is not the same to be said for the Ghanaian youth. There's so many examples from other jurisdictions I could give, but for time constraint. Cultural indoctrination, that is the elders of our community that take decision and not the youth. Culturally, when a decision is about to be taken, they often send the young ones away, even if the decision directly affects the young people. Absolutely no input is taken from them. As such, they grow up with the mentality that the decision-making is a reserve of the old. As such, even if they have amazing ideas, that could contribute to the nation's development, they are prevented and at times intimidated from making such ideas known. Those who dare to make their opinions known are tagged as rude, arrogant, and disrespectful. I therefore believe our culture prevents the youth from actually being well equipped to govern and make decisions in the country. Appointment of party loyalists and financiers to decision-making positions in the country, leaving the youth inexperienced in governance and decision-making. One common phenomenon is the appointment of party loyalists and financiers to decision-making positions in the country. Most often than not, young people do not have the political connections or the funds to secure such vital positions. Eventually, the young people never get the opportunity to learn the art of policy advocacy or decision-making. It is often said that we learn by doing. Experience is the best teacher. Once we do not get our hands dirty, there's no way we can learn anything and will not be well equipped to effectively, the word is effectively, run this country. Inability of our school curriculum to teach soft skills such as critical thinking, design thinking, management, in addition to technical know-how. Our school curriculum, most often than not, do not teach the soft skills I mentioned. As such, we may have the technical know-how, but yet we fail to be equipped at governance because we lack such basic skills until and unless our educational institutions, as well as state institutions, make an effort to incorporate soft skills into our curriculum and maybe extracurricular activities. I do not think Ghana is making a headway in trying to equip the youth in governance as well as decision-making. Finally, a lack of a coordinated and vibrant national youth program and policy to equip young people to adequately contribute to governance. I admit that we have a Ministry of Youth and Sports, but for me, I must dare say, they are more interested in the sports as opposed to the youth. I do admit that we have a National Youth Authority whose mandate is to ensure comprehensive policies and programs to support youth development. However, I dare say again that this institution is highly politicized. As such, the youth authority, most often than not, favor their youth wings as opposed to others. Unless and until our youth ministry is depoliticized and the ordinary youth, Ghanaian youth, feels the work they are doing, Ghana is not well equipped. Ghanaian youth, I must say, are not well equipped to run the country's affairs. I believe I've been able to convince all present that the Ghanaian youth is not effectively well equipped to effectively participate in governance and decision-making process of the country. Thank you for your audience.
Thank you very much. So we go back to the team for the motion. We call the first supporting speaker to make the speech.
Thank you very much. Her Ladyship, Madam Chairman, with a growing majority of young Ghanaians having attained at least basic education focused on logical thinking, reading and writing, we are well aware of the needs of the society that harbors us, and we understand exactly what it is that a civil society needs to be functional. There has been a clamor for elderly leaders to step aside and to shoulder the responsibilities of governance to the younger Ghanaian. There are many questions that my opposition has raised. Are we skilled? Do we have the experience? Are we passionate? Are we as knowledgeable? Do we have the insights? Madam Chairman, I believe I speak for and on behalf of the majority of us here today that the Ghanaian youth are well equipped to effectively partake in the governance of this our country, and I will tell you why. The youth are a valuable resource and they must be harnessed for national development. And this was said by Honorable Elvis Ifri-Ankra, Minister of Youth and Sports. He believes in the cause. Our education, Madam Chairman, transcends social stratification and discrimination. We are a people of sound judgment, free of ethnocentric and nepotic inclusions. And this makes us the best bet for objective, non-discriminatory and selective justice and also fairness in governance. This means we are ready to apply what we have learned in groundbreaking and innovative ways to aid in the effective governance of our dear nation. This assures us effectiveness in breaking the barriers that exist today in governance, such as gender inequality, injustice, industrialization and its lack, health and well-being. With strong standing in networks and an inclination to advocacy for a positive change and exhibited willingness to volunteer for the greater good, we are evidently enthused about making this thing a success. Mr. Chairman, today's youth are far more advanced than the youth of a decade or two ago. With cultural and demographic bridges burning fast, the advent of big data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, we are better equipped with the intelligence to make informed decisions and tactile ones. Madam Chairman, we now have youth expert groups leading the battles against the everyday Ghanaian's worst nightmare. In a world ridden with so much uncertainty, drifting consistently towards the unknown, we, the youth, are pushing against the currents that turn the wheels that transport our nation's governance. Kukwa Manfo, 28, Soshaki, leading the campaign in favor of affordable housing, now Kanye Shooter, now 30, Miss Ghana 2012, on the warpath for affordable healthcare, making quality healthcare now available for over 2,000 underserved and underrepresented people in the 3 northern regions of Ghana, regardless of their age. Sangudele, Forbes 30 under 30, currently 34, CEO of Golden Palm Investments, is effectively leading the campaign for affordable water and clean resources. Clean water and affordable resources. Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, be reminded, Madam Chairman, that providing the basic needs of its citizenry and safeguarding the national interest is the principal business of every government. Our active participation in government will provide a significant addition of value for the fulfillment of government commitments, particularly at national and, more importantly, local levels. Till date, Madam Chairman, we have been seeing an active participation post the 2015 agenda setting process for the sustainable development of this country. However, work still needs to be done to ensure that our roles in the government of our country is clearly defined. After all, who better to involve in the governance of our country than the dear young ones for which the future has been shaped? Madam Chairman, we understand and appreciate that for maximum impact, it is very necessary to work in tandem the elderly who have built our societies to the current standing, such as power holders, bearers of duty, and government officials, and leaders in their respective fields to engage in participatory governance. Madam Chairman, I would like to establish in conclusion that there are 3 core reasons to prove that young people are equipped to effectively participate in government and decision-making. First, there's the intrinsic value in upholding young people's rights to participate in every governmental and decision-making process that affects us. Our right to participate is articulated by our eagerness to assist and our demonstrating willingness to learn. Secondly, substantiated by the World Bank in Huxley 2012, we, the youth, are best at defining target groups, working non-discriminatorily for the society as our beneficiary. As collaborators, engaging with all stakeholders, partners, and as initiators of change. Lastly, Madam Chairman, distinguished guests, panel of judges, our ladyships in the pageantry, members of the Diplomatic Corps, we have demonstrated time and time again, and most recently by our military combating Galamsey in the stricken woodlands following the murder of their colleague in Dentraboise. Do we have any doubt in our minds, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, that we are not effectively prepared to participate in governance? Thank you.
Thank you. It's now time to hear from the first supporting speaker against the motion.
Madam Chairman, distinguished panel of judges, I'm very excited that my opponent cited the current Minister for Youth and Sports, who said that we need to harness the youth's, we need to harness the potential of the youth in national development. But I'm a bit surprised, or I'm a bit maybe worried that even our Minister for Youth and Sport happens not to be youth, because he happens to be 42 years old. Does that mean that our nation cannot see the potential of youth to govern our own selves? It is a question that I believe we all need to ask ourselves. It's not just about having passion, it's not just about having the eagerness or the ability to advocate, but then we need to look at the content of the current Ghanaian youth. That is, do they have what it takes to stand and then make policies that can be implemented? Do they have what it takes to actually be part of the implementation process? I believe in the law of attraction, that if you are attracted to something, you will definitely go close to it. Maybe what is happening in Ghana is a clear indication that our current leaders are not attracted to the youth because we do not have what it takes to participate in governance and in decision making. In terms of content, I want to look at education, experience and exposure, institutions, culture, availability, politics, and then some examples. When we look at the syllabus, as my partners initially stated, our curriculum currently does not equip our Ghanaian youth fully to participate in governance. We have a system that still focuses on the past. However, the dynamics have changed in the world. And it is so sad to see that currently we have only one liberal school in Ghana, which is equipping students to actually face the changing times in the world. When it comes to training and leadership, we have very few schools, and it's mostly found on the graduate level. If the age limit is 35 years, and Ghanaians are not economically empowered right after school, and that they have to work to gain money to even go through graduate school, what year do we think they will be in before they can actually make use of the governance and the leadership skills training that is available at the graduate school level? The cost involved in such training can be enormous. When we finish school, mostly at the average age of 23, people now have to work and then make money in order to further their studies. In actual sense, they don't have the funding to go through the training that it takes for them to fully participate. And then, when it comes to the government skills that are needed, in terms of budget allocation, in terms of resource allocation, resource gathering, in terms of policy making, how many of the schools are equipping our students or our youth to fully be engaged in such manner? Experience is also one. When we come through student leadership, it's easy to see that students are making advances in becoming student leaders. But that has been proven over time to be questionable, because as recently Professor Yanka rightly said, the corruption in government, the corruption in the public sector has been rooted in student leadership. So that means that our youth have fully and over time proven themselves questionable, that they are not well equipped to be in governance, even at the student level. When we come to institutions that fully equip students or youth to be engaged, we have very few. My opponent mentioned the YALI program, and then currently we are honored to be part of the YDG program. But apart from these two, what else do you know? The culture in Ghana has not, or the culture in Ghana fully states or fully shows that it is the elderly that makes the decision. But that being said, we know that the trust for the youth isn't there, because it is our elderly who are found in leadership positions. Recently, when in his interaction or in his interview, when one of the panel asked Honorable Osafo, he made a statement that you are too young to understand. It means that when it comes to
understanding what goes on in government. Even age plays a role. And in that sense, also the experience. Availability. Most of the youth are not even available to be equipped in school. We have a whopping 51% in school, fine, under the secondary level, according to our Ghana's demographics. But what happens to the other percentage? We have youth in the rural areas that are currently not engaged even in any activities that are linked to governance and decision making. We have youth on the street and engaged in street hawking, galamsey. We have unemployed youth who are currently on strike, teachers on strike, nurses on strike. And we also have youth in school. So even the percentage of youth that are being equipped are still in school and cannot be fully engaged or fully participate in governance and decision making. In Ghana, politics is a winner takes all. Therefore, whoever wins gets to reward who helped in the winning. I believe it's a few things for us to look at. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. And now it's time to have the second supporting speaker for the motion making the presentation.
Madam Chairperson, my name is Ophelia Konobia Asante. I am the second deputy speaker for the affirmation. I stand to refute the point made by the first deputy speaker of the opposing side, saying that the youth is selflessness. It's not selflessness and not patriotism and patriotic. On the 1st of July, I joined my colleagues of the Young Diplomats of Ghana, including my fellow debaters, to advocate on HIV/AIDS at the Labadi Beach and other neighboring areas. So I'm surprised she stood here to say that we don't have selflessness and patriotism in us. Madam Speaker, we advocated looking at the increasing rate of HIV/AIDS in Ghana, which is about almost 200,000 people in Ghana. We advocated for this to reduce and make sure that SDG Goal 8, that is Sustainable Development Goals 3, that is good health and well-being, is achieved. Madam Speaker, the first deputy speaker for the opposing side said that the youth is not well equipped to participate in decision-making process of the country because we are not allowed to participate in decision-making process, and then the elderly take us aside when any decision is going on. But I want to explain to us that even during our SRC, that is the Students Representative Council and National Student Unions, we the youth, we the students leaders are put on boards, that is educational boards and academic boards of the universities. And our initiatives are welcomed by the school people. When it comes to organizations, youth organizations who train the youth on advocacy, she mentioned of, the first deputy speaker mentioned of only YDG and a few. But I want to explain to them that we have the Frederick Ebert Tank Foundation, which trains young leaders to advocate for crucial decision-making in this country and also to participate in the leadership of this country. I would want to mention a few of these youth who has gone through the Frederick Ebert Tank Foundation Young Leaders Program. We have Haruna Idrisu, the minority leader of Parliament. He passed through the Young Leaders Program of Frederick Ebert and now is the minority leader. The youth is already taking positions in decision making. We have the members of parliament who are part of the youth. Adra Safo, we have Okujeto Ablakwa. So if she says that the youth is not currently not allowed to partake in decision making, then I don't get what she's talking about, sorry. the youth is taking part in decision making and therefore is well equipped to effectively participate in the governance and decision making of the country. Madam Chairperson, every leader must have a successor, and so not to collapse the administration of a country or of a governance, then the youth must participate. The initiatives and the expertise of the youth needs to be welcomed in order not to collapse the administration of the country, but to continue the good governance of the country. Madam Chairperson, when we come to innovation and technology, the youth is well equipped to participate. Dr. James Ramford, a graduate of the University of Mines and Technology, is recycling waste bakelite and turns them into diesel and aviation fuel for use. Frida Obey Ampofo has the product of Kaimi products, that is creams, products of shea butter, and exports them. Youth are making changes when it comes to entrepreneurship and innovation. And they need to partake in decision making and governance of this country. They are helping in achieving the industry, innovation, and infrastructure of SDG Goal 9. When this is achieved, there will be no poverty because there's going to be decent jobs and economic growth. That is for SDG Goal 8. And therefore, I believe that the youth is well equipped to participate in the decision-making process of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Afi. The second supporting speaker against the motion, Emmanuel Amwadaku, is up next.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Madam Chairperson, panel of judges, distinguished timekeeper, ladies and gentlemen, all here gathered. My colleagues are struggling to prove to us that the young Ghanaian is equipped to be fully engaged in leadership and governance, and for that matter, decision making. I was happy when one of them was mentioning the name of Haruna Idrisu, having gone through a lot of programs. But have you forgotten about Victoria Hammer? The main point that our opponents are raising is on the key point of education. It's not only about education. Yes, I admit that literacy levels have gone up in the past decade. Government presently spends about 23% of its budget investing in education. But it's not just about investment in education, but it's also about the quality education we enjoy. According to a World Economic Forum report in 2013, Ghana was ranked 46th out of 148 countries in terms of quality education. This is nothing to write home about, comparing it to the standards of education in the 1960s and the 1970s. Another key point about education is that there's excessive politicization of educational policies. A few years ago, a government came into power and then switched the number of years students have to spend in senior high school from 3 years to 4 years. And we've not heard that again, but maybe in the near future, if a government should also come and reverse such a policy, what will become of the quality of education we have in our country? We know the level of unemployment in our country is very high. And then a recent comment by the senior minister, Yawasaf Mafo, said that even the public service is choked and government is even planning of laying down people. If young people are not having access to employment opportunity, how can they gain professional experience? Not even talk about giving them position in government. For your information, government, for you to be successful in government, you need to have some level of experience. Unemployment rate is on the ascendancy and it's a threat to us and a security threat to our continent. according to a Ghana Statistical Service report, in 2015, unemployment rate is at 11.9%. Again, according to a World Bank report, dubbed Landscapes of Jobs in Ghana, about 48% of young people within the ages of 15 and 24 are without jobs. If we have such a chunk number of people without employment, how can they equip themselves to be involved in governance? Another point that I'm going to raise is that partisan politics at the student leadership level is something that is crippling Ghanaian youth to equip themselves for leadership positions. The two main major political parties in Ghana, the NPP and the NDC, have their youth wing known as TESCON and TAME. And all that they do is that they groom their young people at the stage of senior high schools and then universities. And so by the time they come up, they have a preconceived idea of whatever government policy is. If it is true, if it is wrong, they defend it because of partisan nature. And this is not helping in equipping young ones for leadership and government in our country. Again, as my colleague alluded to, the level of corruption and malpractices, even at the student leadership level, is nothing to write home about. And I know that all of you here in gathered, you have reports of SRC executive embezzling funds at the various institutions. How can we then say that the young person is equipped for governance and leadership? By the time I finish making my point, my opponent will throw in the towel and crown us as leaders and winners of this debate, because they know that their points are very shallow. The quality of education, in summing up my point, the quality of education is nothing to write home about. Again, the level of corruption, even at the student leadership level, also nothing to write home about. Again, excessive partisan politics being played in the various universities bless the critical thinking skills of young people to even participate in leadership and governance of our nation. Mentorship is also one thing that we have not done quite well in our country. How can we then say that the young Ghanaian is equipped for leadership? I know they are nodding their heads and then counting us as victors of this debate. Thank you very much.
It's time to have the summary and final rebuttal from both teams. We'll first call the representatives for the motion.
Madam Chairman, at this point, I would like to thank God for the power of a second chance. First of all, I think that our opponents have missed the point of this debate, which is clearly to explain whether or not we feel that the Ghanaian youth is prepared, is well equipped to effectively participate in the governance of this country. Madam Chairperson, we do agree that the youth in this country constitutes only 18% of the population, of the 82% of the adults remaining. How many of them are in governance? How many young people are volunteering actively to change the status quo of the country? We see various individual non-governmental youths advocating for peace, justice, accountability, and governance every single day in the newspapers, on the news, in social media, and on the radio. My opponents mentioned TESCON and TAME as two of the political movement groups in our universities, but I also want to remind them that in secondary schools, where the destinies and opinions and characters of young people are shaped currently, have better opinions and better youth movement groups. For example, in Wesley Girls High School, the girls are given the opportunity to voice out their opinions on current affairs in the country. They are given the chance to debate on issues that affect young people and to actually partake in programs that improve the status quo of the country and the communities that we serve. Madam Chairperson, our opponents have spoken about corruption in student politics, SRC. We also see the same students taken to the radio stations calling for accountability on the corruption going on in student politics. Is that to say that all youth are corrupt or alluding or colluding to be corrupt? Madam Chairperson, let me call it to your attention that most of the news items that go across the country, that puts Ghana on the map today as a result of innovation and creativity that is being led by Ghanaian youth today. Recently, a team from Silicon Valley has moved back to Ghana to continue to impact technology and STEM education, especially for girl child education in the country. Madam Chairman, that's a positive effect on our governance, because these people, these ladies, these young gentlemen are going to, in fact, grow up to become very important citizens and members of our society. Madam Chairman, I would like to reiterate this fact. 126 members of Ghana's military over the past week have volunteered to move into the Galamsey-stricken areas of Ghana, fueled and passioned by the death of by the vicious murder of their colleague, Maxwell Mahama of blessed memory. To fight and battle corruption, wrongdoing going on in the mining areas. Madam Chairman, I can boldly say, as at now, that myself, Ms. Ashanti, who hosts most of the youth in this country, and yourself share the opinion that the Ghanaian youth is actually prepared to take effective roles in the governance of our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanna will sum up the thoughts for the other group and also make the necessary rebuttal if there are. Thank you.
Madam Chairperson, panel of judges, I believe my colleague from the opposing side should go back to school and check the statistics, because the youth is not 18%, but 36%, as was even told us this morning. It was a bit sad for me when I encountered a certain man, and it was because of a comment that he made. I took out my phone and I was showing a driver the direction, and he made a statement: "You are the first Ghanaian I have seen that can read a map." And it was very disheartening, because I thought that we live in a generation where the youth is supposed to be tech savvy. But looking at the statement that he made, it made me realize that we still have youth who own iPhones but cannot make a PowerPoint presentation. That is the state of our nation's youth today. We have a certain number of students who are schooling but not being educated, and therefore are not well equipped to be fully participating in governance and leadership. We talk about politics, but it is one fundamental aspect of governance. Our very own ex-president, John Ajekum Kufuor, in an address at the IEA, made mention that we cannot talk about economic development and governance without talking about politics, because that is the fundamental aspect of the Ghanaian governance and economy. So we talk about the politicization of most of the institutions and then most of the things in Ghana. We do have a point to say that the youth have only focused on one portion, but then it's even a shallow effect on that. And then I also ask myself, we talk about literacy rate, but do we know that Ghana does not even place at the first 5 countries who are considered to be English-speaking countries in Africa? Do we know that? Do my colleagues know that? Even though we claim we have a 90% literacy rate. That is very appalling. If we claim that we are very well equipped, then why are we not on the forefront of decision-making and governance? And why do we have such a handful of number of youth in government? Why do we have such a handful of youth in parliament making decisions for Ghana? How can we be well equipped when the youth are not even available and are in the streets? How can we be well equipped when the very few who are still in school are even not participating or are not even engaged in courses or in programs that fully take advantage of governance and leadership roles? And how can the youth be equipped when they are focused so much on unemployment issues because they do not have work to do? And that even raises a point that why are they not finding work to do if they are well equipped? That is something that we need to think about. If the youth is well equipped, then why are we represented by the Minister of Youth and Sport, who is even not in the youth age bracket? That is something that goes beyond my mind. I believe I can say a lot of things that goes on around the youth, but when it comes to being equipped to be fully participating in governance, it has to be that we should be doing it now, and we should stop saying that we are the future leaders. If you say that you are the future leaders, then it means you don't have what it takes to work now in the present. And that is why we believe that the youth is not well equipped to be participating in governance today. I believe that I can leave you with this quote, as the lawyers say, res ispa loquitur, which means the situation in Ghana concerning the youth being well equipped is speaking for itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you. I think it's time for the judges to ask questions if they want to before we engage the audience, then come back for their final decisions and comments.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple of questions. I'll hand over to Edward.
Okay, it's a very interesting debate. I have a number of questions. Unfortunately, I know I'll not be able to ask all those questions. So I would ask the group against the motion two quick questions. I think the principal speaker alluded to tokenism as a problem that the youth struggle with. So tokenism is that circumstance where you have a sort of perfunctory or symbolic gesture where an underrepresented group are given some small sort of participation in government. Okay. So how can you just clarify how that is a problem? How tokenism, the representation of this underrepresented group, how is that a barrier to effective participation? So that is one. That is one of the questions I want to ask. And the other question, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. One of the issues you raised was cultural indoctrination. And so you explained that we have a circumstance where it seems that for positions of authority, we prefer to give those positions to older people. What would you suggest as a remedy to that sort of situation? And as a comment that goes to everyone, since this is an intellectual exercise, I would just want to clarify that the word COUNTRY is pronounced country and not country. So that is just a clarification. Okay.
Thank you very much for your questions. So your first question was about tokenism. My point I was trying to make was that there's an appointment of party loyalists and financiers. That was the problem I had. There's no problem with, it's more of a, for example, affirmative action for women. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually giving us a plus. But my problem is having people giving positions because they are loyalists or financiers. I don't think anyone between the ages of 15 and 35 who legitimately worked would have the amount of money needed to actually fund the campaign. So that was the point I was making. And the alternative to having elders taking decisions for us, I believe there's something called design thinking. Design thinking involves getting people that are actually going to be affected by whatever you are doing to actually contribute to you. Because as an elderly person, you might assume that that is what is best for the person. But if you actually ask a child's mind, you'll be surprised and actually shocked that they will have a very intelligent idea of what they actually want to do for themselves so that you can shape it in some way, as opposed to you taking a firm decision for them, actually engage them, and you shape it as we go on. Thank you.
So my other question goes to the group for the motion. Would you say that having, I mean, the circumstance where you have a lot of people, a lot of the youth being represented in government is evidence of youth participation? I think that that is a crucial word. And of course, you explained that the important word in the question is effective participation. So does number really matter in your argument? Having, say, 100, 2,000, 200,000 youth in government, does it necessarily translate into effective participation?
Thank you very much. Effective participation, I believe numbered would also matter. But not only numbered, but how your contributions are actually affecting what you do or what is intended to be done. You're the end result of what you are doing. Today, the numbers are increasing, and that is a sign in our participation of governance that the youth is effectively participating in governance, and then we are equipping ourselves. So with the numbers rising today from about some few years ago to today, we can see that the youth is effectively participating in governance, and then it is shown in the numbers we have in today. Thank you.
Hello. My question goes to, is it the delegates? The members, and I'm talking for the motion. Wouldn't you agree with the fact that in a situation where we have adult-created, adult-driven country as we have today, would you say the youth participation effectively in decision-making is not just a mere symbolism or just a mere decoration?
Thank you, sir, for your question. Currently, as we have it, youth representation in governance seems to be indeed symbolic. However, there are youth outside of governance and outside of politics actually striving to effect the same changes that those in active governance are meant to be showing. For instance, there are non-governmental youth-led groups advocating for peace, fairness, accountability in government, gender equality, financial empowerment, and the like. I think that these are also ways in which the youth participate in governance, even though they are not formally a part of the government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for a very stimulating debate. My question goes to both teams, because in your submissions, I didn't really get, I heard one of you talking about what governance is, but none of you defined or tried to tell us what you understand by participation in governance. What do you understand by participation in governance? So this goes to the two teams, for and against. Secondly, I would like to add that the youth, when we talk about the youth, I did not hear anybody talk about gender equality or gender and with respect to the youth and its ability to participate. In other words, we must notice or be aware that female youth are doubly disadvantaged when it comes to, so many things, access to resources, access to education, etc. So it's just something that I wanted to add. So if we could get participation in governance, what do you understand by it? Because there are so many different aspects of that. It is not just getting into a position, getting a political appointment, being a member of parliament, and so on. There are so many other ways to participate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jando. Let me use a World Bank definition for governance so that I will narrow down on what participation is. Governance, according to the World Bank, is the manner in which power is exercised in the management of a country's economic and social resources for development. That is how World Bank defines governance. And if you talk about the tenets of governance, we have participation, we have equity, we have consensus building, and then the likes. And so we are saying that the young person has not been given that opportunity to participate in governance from the local level right through to the national level. And that is what we are saying. Even what we see happening now is just symbolic to say and to appreciate some of the young persons who help political parties win power. And we still stand by our point in saying that the youth, it's not really equipped. And about your point on gender, I think.
And also to speak on the gender, for lack of the time, because of the time constraints, we couldn't really elaborate on that. But it is very evident that female youth in government is very limited. And it is also one of the reasons why a lot of Ghanaian young ladies have not risen up, because of the stigmatization and then the kind of association or the kind of thought that is given to them. For example, like our lady Charlotte will say, she's always been stigmatized that she has been sleeping around, and it's something that cuts across most of the female.
Thank you very much. So governance, from my understanding, is managing the affairs of a country. So everybody's action, everybody's deed is a part of governance. You need not necessarily be in a political position to be referred to be in governance. But every citizen in that country's actions is a part of governance. Thank you.
Madam Chairperson, in relation to gender, the reason why young women are now seen in governance is because of how, in the olden days, most women were not put at the front of education. But now it is increasing, and we know that a time will come, looking at the trend of women in governance and education, we know that a time will come that the number will really increase. That will cause a change in the society. Thank you.
Okay, so my question goes to the two teams. So first, with the members, you made a comment about tertiary schools going up to 197. The question I have for you is the source, because in as much as we are having a debate, we need to also educate. So if you tell me 196, I will want to know where that figure is coming from. And then the same applies to the delegates. You made mention of a liberal school, even though I know what the school is. The liberal tertiary institution. Even though I know, but I'll be happy if everyone would know. And then to the delegates, the issue about technology and we are talking about being equipped to participate. Now, I know your argument was vehemently centered on the education subject, but would you say that we have enough technology to help the youth? Will you agree or disagree? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, on our source for having 197 tertiary institutions is from the National Accreditation Board for Tertiary Institutions. That's our source. Thank you.
The liberal school I spoke about was Ashesi University. And one aspect, before my colleague talks about the technology around the world is driven on internet, which is also one part of its data, but Ghana does not have a strong internet base, which would fuel our technological advances.
Now, linked to internet, I think the cost in getting internet bundles in Ghana is very high. Though we have 4G, but it's quite high. We have a lot of young people who have access to internet, but ask yourself, what do they use the internet for? We know that social media has been bedeviled with a lot of nude pictures and videos of young people, quote and unquote. And so, yes, there is enough technology. Some people are taking advantage of that, but others are also not, making good use of technology. Thank you.
And not limiting it only to social media and then the internet. We look at the quality of our science education in Ghana. It is not something that fully propels or initiates or provokes a lot of technological advancement and then innovative ideas.
My last question. This one goes to the both teams. I want to know the National Youth Policy of Ghana 2010. I would like each of you to state just one objective of it and how, if you will, this policy and how this policy will enable us to be able to effectively incorporate, as it were, to ensure that the youth participates.
Come again with the question, please.
Or decision process. I'll start again. I'm saying that my question is borders on the national youth policy of Ghana. Just state one objective of it. And if you can, just go ahead.
One of the main objective of the policy is education and skill training. I believe that's what their focus is on now. As we often say, that education is the key. So then Ghana's Youth Authority is focused on making sure the number of people who are getting educated, not only with a technical know-how, but skills needed. So if you don't go through the mainstream educational system, you can go through the informal training to get any skill you want to do. So I can empower them within the stipulated time.
So the second part of the question is, how would it be achieved? That is what I was trying to drive at. So even though you identified the objective, how is the objective going to be achieved?
On the part of individuals, I believe it is imperative on us to encourage our young people to take advantage of educational opportunities and skill training. On the part of the government, I believe they are doing well in trying to establish secondary schools, implementing free education and things as such. So it's both ways, from the government sector as well as individuals. We should encourage our young people to take advantage of it. The free education, the skill training. The National Youth Authority actually organized a lot of programs emphasized on empowering the youth. So my colleague would what else want to answer?
In terms of achieving that, I want to focus on technical education. One key policy by government, the previous government, was to turn the 10 polytechnics, convert them into technical universities, so that we'll have a lot of young people who have technical skills to contribute to economic development, especially manufacturing and then the industry sector of our economy. And that is one thing that the government is doing. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your question. I know that one of the main aims of the NYA is to encourage STEM education. And this means developing capacity in science, technology, and mathematics. It also emphasizes financial independence for young people. Now, what young people are doing with this to water down into participatory governance is young people are moving towards the non-governmental sectors to empower themselves to reach these goals that they have. For example, there's mentorship groups and startup boot camps that young people are leading today to encourage young women especially to take active part in science, technology, and mathematics. Now what this means is that young people are now going to take the onus upon themselves to make sure that they use technology to amplify their opinions and ideas to impact the society we live in. For example, we now have financial institutions empowering young people to educate themselves on financial independence. There are also youth-led groups using technology to advocate for gender equality, peace and justice, and also accountability. Thank you.
Okay, so I think these are our questions, and thank you for your answers. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. I think we want to get opinions or contribution from the audience at the moment. Then judges will come back to you for your final take.
Good morning to my fellow distinguished citizens, noble allies of our republic. In 1929, the political colossus J. Casey Hayford and the young and industrious J.B. Dankwa formed the Gold Coast Youth Conference. After 17 years of youth advocacy, we saw the Benz Constitution come forth. 2 years after this, in 1948, we saw K.A. Bedema and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah as well introduce self-government now. And 9 years after this, Ghana gained our political independence. The question is, the battle never ended. 119 years after the establishment of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Ghanaian citizens here today can still not vote for our mayors or our DCs. So my question or opinion, as I guess it's a combination of both, is, would the democratization of our district assembly system facilitate the participation of the youth in nation building today? Thank you very much.
So you stated certain facts and factors that prevent the youth from effectively participating in governance and decision-making of the country. So what can be done? What do you suggest can be done differently? Since the factors you stated, there are people that have gone through the same experiences, but they are able to contribute to the decision-making of the country. So what different thing can be done to achieve that? Thank you very much.
Will it be part of the scoring? So let me share a few comments on that. What can be done? I think everything rises and falls on leadership. We should focus on quality education at this point. We have a lot of big graduates coming out from our school. The statistics are quite glaring. More than 75,000 people come out of school. But how many of them have employable skills? And that is what the focus should be. It's not only about book knowledge and pass and forget, but it's also about developing the cognitive skills of young people so that they can be better citizens. Again, I think the young people also have a role to play. We should be reading a lot and not be spending most of our time on sometimes unnecessary social media things. Thank you.
And to add to that, one of the most influential men in Ghana, Dr. Otabil, mentioned that the environment for success is also very, very important. He used the concept of the onion in Ghana, that it is the sulfur in the onions that we eat in Ghana that causes our eyes to tear up. But onions outside of Ghana or in some advanced places do not have that because there isn't any sulfur content. When we look at the environment in Ghana, it somehow stifles even the very small potential that people have. So we need to demand the right environment. For example, our leaders. I want to make a comparison. I was once talking to the Dutch ambassador, and he didn't understand why he needed to drive to work when he lived 5 minutes away from his household. Why? Because in the Netherlands, government ministers, prime minister, ambassadors, they use the train, the trams, the buses. They come down to earth and then they talk to people. They just use what people have or what people use. It's not about, I am a minister or I'm in government, or so I don't relate with the youth. It's one of the major reasons why we have this big gap between the youth wanting to be in government or wanting to be part of the leadership, and then the leaders also not listening, because it is just not, the gap is too wide. But we need to demand the right environment whereby we have ministers of state or leaders or decision makers also making use of the public amenities that are available to the normal Ghanaian. In that case, it is more like, once you use what we use, then it's a way to tell us that we listen to you, and then we actually involve you in participation. I sat down with Patrick Ewa one time, and it was awesome to me because I felt like he was one of the few Ghanaian university owners who can actually queue to buy his own food and sit down together in a cafeteria with students. We don't find that in Central University. Hardly do you see the president. We don't find that in University of Ghana. We don't find that in UCC. Pardon me if I'm wrong. Maybe there are some students here who can tell me I'm wrong. But we don't find that in most of our institutions. And it is a clear indication that the gap between the youth and those who are currently in leadership is very wide. So we need to demand the right environment. Thank you.
Emphasize on, as to do with leadership. What constitutes leadership, or who is a leader? A leader is a person who is having vision. You have knowledge and wisdom. You have the courage to take decisions. And I am pleased regarding the topic for the day, which has to do with effective participation of our youth in decision making and our governance. And that has to do with leadership. Because with all these qualities I've mentioned earlier, it is only a good leader who can effectively participate in our decision-making processes. I am going to make references to some other young members of parliament. I was pleased to have our dear sister who was voted into parliament at the age of 22. And I'm sure with all these examples, the youth of today are participating in the good governance of this country. Permit me to paraphrase the words of Kofi Annan, who said, "No one is born a good citizen. No nation is born a democracy. And the youth of the nation must be included from birth." And I believe that our dear leaders of this country have a lot to do with regards to youth participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
My question goes to the group against the motion. So, if I should ask any of you, are you well equipped to effectively participate in good governance and decision making? What would be your answer to me? Is it a yes or a no, and why? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. As a delegate of the Young Diplomats of Ghana, we've gone through months of training in policy advocacy and how to essentially bring the SDGs to force. So for me personally, I think, yes, I'm well equipped. But remember, not everyone has this opportunity. There are millions of other people who do not have this opportunity. So the fact that a few of us here have the opportunity to learn how to advocate and to champion causes in the SDG and things like that, does not necessarily mean that everyone is equipped. So just a few members of the society are well equipped, but not everyone. So.
Thank you. My name is Samuel Jemfi Akwa, YDG member. In the first place, I want to commend the debaters for the wonderful discussion we've enjoyed so far. Now, mine is submission. I believe one of the things that we all agree to is the fact that our National Youth Authority is becoming too much politicized. And in order to ensure that we come out of this menace, I believe that it will be good on our behalf or on our side that our government officials ensure that annually we have maybe inter-party youth forum whereby all of the youths will come out with innovative ways of bringing out policies and initiatives that affect the general youth of the country. And I believe when we do that, we'll be able to help and achieve our SDGs and what the youth stand for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're taking one more, but let's make it snappy, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My question is to the group against. I would want to know your definition for well-equipped, because there are a lot of people who have degrees, diplomas, and PhDs. So your definition of well-equipped will at least clarify it all. Thank you.
I would define well-equipped as having the necessary sources or the necessary resources, or having the right environment together with the resources to function as desired.
For example, if someone is being forced to undertake formal education and the person is not really cut out for formal education, but for technical skills, you cannot say the person has a degree and as such is well equipped. I have a cousin who was forced to do science, but is an amazing baker. She does amazing cake. So if you give her a first degree in any science course, she would excel, yes, but it doesn't make her well equipped. So having a first degree or anything does not mean you are well equipped. Just my friend defined it. It's being cut out or having the requisite skill for that particular job you are doing. Thank you.
The last one. But before that, I think the contestants, they also have to have a debate amongst themselves. They have intelligent questions to ask. I think I'm going to categorize it into three things. It's about experience, it's about educational qualification, and it's about skills for you to be groomed and well-equipped to participate in governance and leadership. Thanks.
What would you say to young ones, especially for us in the university currently? You have people like the TESCON and other people trying to poach you. Now, they give you so many packages that sometimes they are so attractive, like you want to go for them. So what are some of the things you'd advise to young people who are in the universities and other educational institutions? Thank you.
The first thing I would say is that develop yourself personally. Develop yourself personally. I'm going to give I don't want to mention names because I don't know what is going to happen. The next headline is going to come out. But my lecturer is seated on the panel. The first thing is that as an individual, develop yourself very well. The TESCON, the team, you can join. But think well. If a policy being meted up by your government is not right, critique that policy. And don't go for it because it's TESCON and they are giving you opportunity to do national service at the Flagstaff House or whatever it is. And that is what is going on. We have a lot of young people who are very talented, they are very intelligent, but because of partisan politics, they can't even decipher between right and wrong. And I must say to you, sister, develop yourself very well. By the end of the day, in the next 10 years, where do you see yourself? Politics will come and it will go. NPP will not be on power forever. NDC will never be on power forever. But the end of the thing is, what can you contribute to your nation? What change can you make? And that's the very thing that you have to be mindful of. Thanks.
And in addition to taking advantage of it and then developing yourself, I would say that make yourself relevant to the current demand. We do have companies who complain that the jobs are available, but we can't find the best fit. And we have students complaining that we can't find jobs. So where is the gap coming from? Make yourself relevant to the changing times, and then be informed. We do have students who are coming out of school, and then they are taking up any kind of job because there's nothing in the system, so to speak. So we have graduate master students who are getting paid for less than 1,000 cedis. But did you know that your national service pay or your national service allowance is pegged at 40% of an entry-level graduate? So you do the calculation and see how much you are even supposed to take when you are supposed to come out of school. A lot of people don't know that. So they don't value themselves, and then they also don't make themselves ready for the changing time.
Answering to that, as an individual, you need to know your goals, your values, and your standards. If your values and goals are straight in line with whatever political party is addressing you, if you think you can join, you have the right to association. If you think you can join, and then also exhibit your potentials. But if you don't want to go into the line of politics, you can also join other student youth-driven organizations or groups, so that it will also ignite your inherent potentials as an individual to groom you to become a better asset of the country. Thank you.
I think you've all done well. So I think you owe yourselves a round of applause, so you can clap for yourselves. Okay. So this has been an intellectually rewarding exercise. I have learned a lot. It has been very inspiring and educational. I have a challenge of assuming that every auditorium I enter is a classroom. So the word that you pronounce, O-N-I-O-N, is pronounced onion, not onion. Anyway, so mine is just a quick comment. I think that this, again, I'm reiterating the fact that this has been a rewarding exercise. Debates were a key feature of the European Enlightenment period, because these were people who liked to engage in some sort of rhetorical, and I teach argumentation, so I have really enjoyed this display of persuasion and argumentative skills. Okay, so I'm not the one to announce who the winner is, so I'll just pass this on.
I'm not the one either. Mine is to come out with the various criteria that we use in the scoring for fairness' sake. So these are: 1, confidence and eloquence; 2, organization and clarity; 3, use of argument; 4, presentation style; 5, sense of timing; and the use of rebuttals. But then the rebuttals, we did not score the principal speakers. And then finally has to do with summary and the final rebuttal. Thank you.
Okay. So the moment everybody has been waiting for. The team, the Young Delegates, what is it called? Sorry. The YDG members, they were for the motion. And overall, when we took the average from the 4 judges, they came up with 60 points. Please, let's give them a round of applause. And then those against, the YDG delegates, who were against the motion, were able to chalk 72 points. And so they are declared the winners of this debate. Thank you very much. And congratulations to the delegates, the YDG delegates. Can I, just squeeze in one or 2 points. I think this was a very good debate, very well researched and very well, presented. I just want to add 1 or 2 things. We lecturers like to talk a bit, so we can't help it. I just wanted to add that the youth must be willing to be trained, you see. They must be willing to be trained. They must be interested and educated in knowing their rights and responsibilities, particularly under the 1992 Constitution. That's the only way in which they will be able to participate. And they can participate by lobbying, writing letters, being members of civil society organizations and think tanks, advocacy. They need to be trained and be willing to be trained. But also those in positions of power and governance and decision-making must set the right examples and act as mentors to the youth. So when they are in government, they need to set the right examples and the right tone of honesty. Am I saying it right? Honesty or honesty? Of honesty, transparency, competence, and trustworthiness. Okay, so my final point, mentorship is important, knowledge of our civic rights and duties, and then those in power have a responsibility of mentorship. Thank you very, very much. Clap for yourselves.
Mine is just a quick one. I just want us also to thank Young Diplomats of Ghana for organizing this, program. And it is quite educative, and we really thank them so much for the opportunity as judges to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Mr. Bawa Madu will now do the presentations to both teams. First, we will hand out the certificates. Michael Oko. Then a package. Charlotte Obing.
Excuse me, sir.
Ophelia. The packages from Busy Internet, one of the sponsors. Joanna. Emmanuel. Ekia. Thank you, Mr. Bauer. Now we have Ekia, who was the overall best debater. We'll call the chairperson to Dr. here. Thank you. It's time to have the closing remarks. Esther Azazi. Thank you.
Madam Chairperson, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Today's debate actually brought some flashback from my senior high school days when I belonged in a debating club. And in one of our debates, there was this eloquent guy, very confident, and he would approach the issues head on. But there was this one debate that threw him overboard. And in the end, do you know what he said? He said, "Amen," instead of "thank you." But our eloquent debaters here haven't said amen, and that shows how matured, how confident, how eloquent they are. Please, let's give them another round of applause. Representation of the Ministry of Communications, United Nations Resident Coordinator, UNFPA representative, members of the Diplomatic Corps, eminent panel of judges, distinguished debaters, media and our fellow youth, YDG delegates and members, distinguished guests and participants, all protocol observed. We would all agree that today's debate has created an enabling environment for the very key stakeholders of national development, the youth, to share ideas and knowledge and how well we are prepared to take on the baton of leadership that will spur social change, economic growth, and technological advancement. It has been a really insightful moment for me, and I know it has for all of you seated here. While we discovered that the Ghanaian youth is endowed with great talent, creativity, and have high educational levels, we have also been hit hard by the challenges these youngsters face in their bid to contribute to social discourse. And this includes poverty, inadequate training, poor mentorship, just to mention few. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana, I would like to term, is a system. You may call it a body of many parts, with the eye, the nose, and other parts. These parts must operate effectively and interdependently to support the system's growth. What this means is that young people play a key role in national development, and any neglect or failure on our part will create deeper wounds in national development. And this leads me to a very big question. So what do we do as young people? And I guess most of us have tried responding to that. Let's start by digging deep within and unearthing the God-given talents that we have to build our system, and that is Ghana. Let us cultivate positive attitudes towards work and in all that we do. We must also not be afraid to make mistakes. Remember, the number of mistakes you make estimates how strong you will grow and, face your challenges in future. To our leaders, and Madam Chairperson indicated this earlier, I charge you to set the pace, to be the mentors who will be proud for raising tomorrow's future. Young people want to get their hands involved in the fight for national development. I plead with you to give us the chance. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with a quote from Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart book, and it said, "Where are the young suckers that will grow when the old banana tree dies? Are you the young sucker of Ghana who will grow and build our nation tomorrow?" In conclusion, I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to the UNDP, the UNFPA, the National Youth Authority, the World Bank, and all others who supported this amazing program. I'd also say a big thank you to our program functionaries, our special guests and judges, and also to you, our distinguished guests, for joining us. Let us meet again next year and see how much our youth have grown to face our challenges. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Magna Comachamel. I'm a YDG delegate, and I'm very honored and privileged to be part of today's debate, particularly because it's International Youth Day, and then YDG has provided a platform for us to maximize our potential as youth in leadership, in governance and diplomacy. I believe this is a very good opportunity that can harness the potential of all Ghanaian youth, and I would like to encourage all youth watching today that it is possible for us to be part of leadership, it is possible for us to be part of governance, and it is possible for us to build the nation through advocacy and then through policy making, but then we need to be well equipped for that. And for that purposes, I want to encourage all youth to take advantage of all the opportunities that are available in education, in networking, in experience and exposure, policies or advantages or opportunities that are available in the schools out there in the international community, so that we can be fully equipped to build Ghana's next developmental agenda. Now, thank you.
My name is Peggy Cohort, and I'm representing the Brongahapur region. Today's program was very educative. My opinion on the whole issue is that Ghanaians, especially the youth, lack passion and patriotism because of the system, what the system has done to us, especially when it comes to unemployment. So my encouragement to the youth of today is to attack entrepreneurship, because Bill Gates, Apostle Kojo Safo, and all those people are rich because they were entrepreneurs at a very early age. So you guys work hard, and then Ghana will be a very bright place to be in the near future. Thank you very much.
My name is Lalis Roxon, representing Ashanti region. I think this was an intellectually rewarding program. It made me understand that I'm a youth, okay, but I have roles to play. Ghana is all that matters. At the end of the day, what am I bringing to Ghana? What can I do for Ghana? What can I do to make Ghana proud? It's my role to make others around me know that we have a role to play to make Mother Ghana a better place. Thank you.
I actually came to participate in the International debate, and the team is the Ghanaian youth well equipped to participate effectively in the governance and decision-making process of the country. And yes, we had some debates from the delegates and the members. I ended with a very lively discussion with various arguments coming from the delegates, who are of the view that the Ghanaian youth is not well equipped to participate in the decision-making process of the country, with the members also of the view that the Ghanaian youth is well equipped to participate effectively in the governance and decision-making process of the country. So eventually, this was the events for the day, and I'm sure we as the youth of the country have learned from the various arguments raised by the two parties, and we're willing to participate and effect into our daily activities, the various activities we discussed. So basically, these are the activities and so we all learned from the day. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Ejewa Sabaina, and today commemorating the International Youth Day, and we're having a wonderful debate about whether the youth of Ghana are well equipped to partake in decision-making and governance in our country. I would say that it is indeed on course, and it is in order to have wonderful young and intelligent women participate in this debate, and actually to relay their information, what they think about the youth of Ghana today, to policy makers and decision makers, and then also to address the issue on board, and then to also relay the information to Ghanaians that as to whether we are ready or not ready to take part in decision making. Thank you.
To me, I think this program was educative, informative. I learned about what the youth in Ghana can achieve and what we are trying to achieve. To me, in my own point of view, I think we are getting there, we are developing. The youth is being educated, is being informed about things that are at our disposal that can help us achieve certain things, and also help in governance and decision making. And types of programs like this will also inform us and educate us to do great things in this country. Thank you. My name is Georgette Figa.
My name is Ivana Irama Abaka, and I'm glad to be a part of this program. I believe that this debate was really rewarding and stimulating, and before coming here, I was of the view that we are ready, but hearing both sides of the argument and being hit with the realities on the ground, I have been made to believe and now know that we are still in the process of being ready to take up leadership roles. Be that as it may, I'm leaving here not discouraged but challenged to do more for my community, for my school, and for my nation. Thank you.
My name is Michael Oko Jr., a member of the Young Diplomats of Ghana. Today has been an exciting program, having a debate, and we've had a lot of experiences. We've learned a lot actually. For me, one of the things that I'm taking home is that as youth or as young as we are, we have a role to play in the governance of our country. And so whatever that we do, we should know that our country is calling for us. And that is what every youth or every Ghanaian should have at the back of his mind. Thank you very much. It's been an exciting moment today, and I'm glad I was a part of the debaters. Thank you.
My name is Paul, and I'm really excited for this opportunity to share my views about the program for today. I knew it was going to be exciting, and then indeed it's proving very, very exciting. And then I love the atmosphere. I am happy to be in the midst of these wonderful young men and women who are poised and in charge of doing something big with their lives. Actually, what I've learned from this debate is about volunteerism. Those who spoke against the motion said that a lot of the youth lack volunteerism, that is voluntary spirit. And then that is what I want all young people to inculcate, that we should pick up that spirit of volunteerism, learn to do things without waiting for reward. It is something that is lacking in Ghanaians. And then if a lot of us embrace volunteerism, I know we can take the nation very far. And then what I also like to add is that a lot of young people should go into entrepreneurship. They shouldn't wait so much for government to provide them jobs. They should rather have that courage to take up entrepreneurial programs and then engage in more of entrepreneurship activities so that they can become more empowered. And I know when the young people engage in a lot of volunteerism and then take up more entrepreneurship activities, they become more empowered to be effectively prepared for taking active role in governance. So I must say I'm really excited for coming to this program. I'm happy about the people I've met. I've been able to exchange ideas with a lot of them, gotten their contacts. And I know that from here we can meet and then share ideas together, plan on big things that we can do for the nation to develop. So I recommend the program for everybody. Next year by this time, I want to see more young people taking part in the celebration of this wonderful program. Thank you.
I'm William. I was present at the program, and I think the program has been worth it. It has been remarkable, so special and educating. I think these are such some of the programs that we should encourage in our nation. And the team, personally, I was against the motion because all the indicators showed that we are not really equipped and then ready to take part in decision making. And the debate went in favor of that motion. I think it has been worth it once again, and we should continue whatever that we are doing to make this nation a great one. No one is coming to do it for us. Everything stands on us, and wherever we find ourselves, we should make sure that we are doing something to improve our nation as we have it here in Ghana. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ekia Sewampo, and I'm a Young Diplomat of Ghana delegate. Today is the UN International Youth Day, and I'm honored to be part of this program. As a matter of fact, all I have to say is that the youth are being equipped. I think we are not quite there yet. And so whenever we are given an opportunity, as any person within the youth bracket, you just take advantage of it. Because often said, if you do the little things in great ways, you become a great person. So have a wonderful International Youth Day, and I'll see you next year. Thank you.
My name is Mawafra Damsent. I'm a member of the Young Diplomats of Ghana. Today has been an International Youth Day, and then the Young Diplomats hosted a debate between the members and the delegates on the topic, is the youth well equipped to participate in the governance and then the development process of the country. It has been a very insightful debate, and we have learned a lot. It as citizens who are conscious, is the need to take urgent steps and then develop ourselves in order to participate in the governance of our country. Because we are the future leaders, and then when we do not develop ourselves to face the future, our country is going to fail. So it has been a great debate, and it's a wonderful one. So thank you for doing it.
The program was very educative, mind-boggling, meeting a lot of people. The debaters that debated, they did very well. Especially those who won, those against the motion that the youth are not all ready to take up government positions. I was looking forward to talk about preparation. If you are not ready now, when will we be ready? Because those who are holding the current positions will definitely face off. So what's next? Who are the people to take the position? I was looking forward that they should talk more about we preparing ourselves, developing ourselves. And it take you from the speech that was given by a senior minister, that is Osafo, that during Kufuor's cabinet, but then he was the finance minister, and they brought in Dr. Baumia to be a deputy to Paul Akwa, who was then the governor of Bank of Ghana, so that he could learn from him. That is, but then he was a youth, he wasn't up to the task, but he was learning so that he would take up from him. And we could all attest to the fact now he's the first to reckon with the economics, although he's the vice president now, but he's the chairman for the economic board of the government, doing marvelously well. So I think when we develop ourselves, we'll take up the mantle from those who are ahead.
Hi, my name is Esther Azasi, a delegate of the Young Diplomats of Ghana. Today's program or debate has really triggered thought-provoking issues regarding youth and national development. And I'll use this platform to encourage our leaders to involve us in decision-making, especially when it concerns us. The current issue being galamsey. I understand there's a policy that is being developed to curb the issue of galamsey and its effects on the environment. And I don't think that I've heard any youth group invited to participate in the policy formulation, and so I encourage our leaders to involve us in the fight for national development. Thank you.